Hello and welcome to BharatShakti.in. I'm Brigadier Chatterjee. This is part of our book review section that we have this episode. And I'm going to be carrying out a dialogue with the editor of this book. And the book is titled Indian Air Force in its Centennial Decade. Right. There are two editors really, AVM Anil Gulani and Group Captain Swain Prakash Singh. AVM Anil Gulani is with us. Thank you, AVM, for joining us. Thank you for joining Bharat Shakti.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigadier Chatterjee, for getting us over on your show, and I'm indeed privileged and delighted to be here with you.
Thank you. I've written a very fine book, and I've got a couple of issues to discuss with you on that book itself. My first question is about what really drove you. You do a job which demands a lot of effort, I'm sure, in the Center for Air Power Studies. You are, after all, the number 2 man there in the Center for Air Power Studies. And yet, what gives you the motivation to be undertaking a task like this of compiling these articles, editing them, putting them into some format, and publishing a very fine book?
Actually, it was last year on 8th October that the Indian Air Force celebrated 90 years of its existence, having been born on 8th October 1932. And as it entered into its centennial decade, the journey that the Indian Air Force has had ever since its inception has been truly fascinating. And though a lot has been written about the Indian Air Force, I thought that we would chronicle the journey of the Air Force till now and how we foresee the Air Force to be in the next 10 years, that is in its centennial decade, because there are a large number of changes that are happening in the world today as far as air power, technology and other things are concerned. So having got this idea, I think me and Swain Prakash Singh, we got together and we charted out how we would plan this book, and we mulled over the people who would write various chapters on this book, and we've got from avid Air Force historians to scholars and practitioners of warfare and retired people, and which have covered most of the aspects of the Air Force in its journey till today. And that's how this book was conceived, and fortunately it could see the light of day.
Well, we'll talk about these various aspects that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You did talk about right now. And the first thing that strikes anybody is aircraft. What's the future really? What kind of aircrafts can we expect? Where are we as India, as a country, in that whole setup?
Yeah, so you find that there is a lot of debate which is gaining ground these days on the future of manned aircraft because of the proliferation of drones. But let me tell you that manned aircraft are not going anywhere. And if you look at the future of combat aircraft, today we are in the 5th generation technology. And if you look at countries like the United States, which is flying the F-22, which was the first 5th generation aircraft, and they have the F-35. You have China, which is flying the J-20, and you have Russia, which is flying the Su-57. So most of these countries are flying 5th generation technology aircraft. As far as our scenario in India is concerned, the Rafale and all is 4.5 generation, and our own indigenous, that is the advanced medium combat aircraft, AMCA, is going to be 5th generation, for which the preliminary design review has already been completed. It's awaiting sanction from the CCS for further funding, but once approved, within 3 years you will find the first aircraft rolling out. And countries like United States are already into the new generation air dominance fighter. UK has started a program of the Tempest aircraft, in which Italy and Sweden are partners, and now Japan has also joined in. So similarly, the manned aircraft will continue. However, in the future, what I see is an increasing role of unmanned along with manned aircraft to form the concept called MUMT, which is manned unmanned teaming. So you will have manned aircraft, you will have optionally manned aircraft, and you will have unmanned aircraft all going as a package.
The AMCA program that you talked about. Now, is AMCA going to be a product at par with its peers when it does come into service actually?
Yes, most certainly. You see, the biggest roadblock that we faced in the indigenous development of the LCA Mark 1, Mark 1A Tejas was the lack of an aero engine. Though GTRE was established more than 20 years ago, the Kaveri engine, as you are aware, could not achieve the required amount of thrust that was desired for this platform. Now, with us, the India having partnered with the United States and with General Electric, signed a kind of memorandum to produce jet engines in India. And similarly, after Modi's visit to France, we've signed an undertaking with the French company, aero engine manufacturer Safran, to manufacture engines for the AMCA. So when AMCA finally rolls out, it will be Mark 1 and Mark 2. The Mark 1 is going to be powered by the General Electric engine, but the Mark 2 will be powered by an indigenously produced engine, which will be in collaboration with Safran. That's the way I see it happening, and it will be at par with the leading aircraft in the world today.
Right, that's very heartening. Let's get on to helicopters. That's again something you've dealt with in your book over there. What I fear is that in a contested battlefield, you see helicopters might have a limitation of operating. Now, how do you see the future helicopter area growing really?
You see, when it comes to the utilization of helicopters in a battlefield, I think it is very important for the commander to ask 2 or 3 questions, as to why should I use this platform? What is it that this platform can do which others cannot do? And secondly, what is the threat that the platform faces in that contested battle space? And thirdly, is it worth the effort if I have to suffer some casualties? Now, if you look at the future design of helicopters, we would like helicopters to be agile. We would like helicopters to be more stealthy. We would like helicopters to fly nap of the earth so that they are not able to get detected on radars. The biggest quality that a helicopter has is that it can be quickly deployed with very minimal of infrastructure required, and for rapid mobility of troops from inter-theatre, from one intra-theatre, one place to the other. So there are many advantages that the helicopter has as of today, and technologies to make the helicopter light, to make it stealthy, to make it more agile are already being worked upon to have this in place. But yes, certainly I would not send a helicopter in a contested battle space. We've seen what happened in the Russia-Ukraine war, and in our own example, we saw what happened in the Kargil conflict when we sent the helicopter. It got shot down.
There's that tilt blade. You have a normal helicopter rotary blades on top and vertically, and they tilt forward, and then you can go at a much higher speed like the Osprey has.
Correct.
So what's the future for that?
So these are still in the design and development stage, and they also carried out some trials on helicopters with ejection seats and all, so that the pilot can get out. But none of this has actually come into fruition as far as helicopters are concerned. But modern helicopters like the Apache, which we have got and all, they do have a lot of qualities which give you an electronic warfare suite which protects you against the surface munitions. You have the hardening of the underbelly or the surface, so that it protects you from ack fire and all. But we are still some way to go to have a helicopter. What we are looking at is that you have a helicopter which is manned, and you have a couple of helicopters which are unmanned. So the manned one is the one which is controlling these others, which will go into the contested battle space.
Right. What about critical technologies? How is the Air Force integrating them in its operations, and before that in its training?
So if you are talking of critical technologies, what comes to mind is artificial intelligence and machine learning, and communications also. So as far as the Air Force is concerned, it's in communications, the Indian Air Force is jumping straight from 3G to 5G. in as far as communications are concerned. Secondly, we have the integrated air command and control system, which is our network, for war fighting within the Air Force. So we've rolled out the version 2.0, which is software defined, which is hardened, and which cannot be tampered with. As far as artificial intelligence is concerned, it is being employed in a big way in your campaign planning and analysis. It is also being employed for your ELINT data collection. And as far as training is concerned, we are using, especially with these Agniveers coming in, the cycle has got shortened drastically. So for their, the weapon firing practice, for their firefighting, and for all their training, we are using AR, artificial reality, and virtual reality computers. So this is being used. If you look at the maintenance part, AI is being used in a big way to predict failures and cycles and components and all. So it is this is how the Indian Air Force is actually integrating technology, including weather forecasting and all, which is a big factor when you go into operations. So the Indian Air Force is doing all this.
Let's talk about air defense. Air defense has undergone considerable change. The new resources that you have, how do you integrate them, operate them? What's in store for us in air defense?
So from ancient times, air defense initially was point air defense. So from point air defense, we've gone into the concept of defending a large volume of airspace. So it is called extended integrated air defense system, wherein the range of the sensors, that is the radars, and the range of the weapons is so much that you can actually utilize them to shoot down an enemy aircraft or a missile even before it enters your own airspace. And as far as networking is concerned, we've networked all the radars, which is of the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy, as well as the civil radars, into an integrated air command and control system. So the decision making is done at a central level, which can switch from theater to theater. And integration of all these sensors gives you an optimal solution to be able to take out a threat, whether it's an aircraft or a missile, at ranges from 500-600 kilometers right up to the point. And when you come to the last point, then you have a close-in weapon system or rapid fire short range missiles and all. So that's how the entire air defense has been integrated.
Let's talk about airlift capabilities. It's something very important, whether it's for HADR or whether it's for operational purposes, etc. We've got some resources. Anything else in the pipeline? What's the status right now?
So as far as airlift is concerned, we need strategic airlift, we need medium airlift, and we've come a long way from our days of the IL-76, I mean the AN-12, erstwhile AN-12, the IL-76 are now having acquired the C-117 and the C-130J, that is Hercules, an aircraft which has got capabilities of going into contested spaces and taking off from short unprepared surfaces also. I think India is doing well. The only place where we were lacking was a medium lift capability of our AN-32, which was the workhorse of the Air Force, which is now being replaced by the CH-295, which is already under production in India. The plant is set up over here with Airbus, and the first aircraft has been developed. First 16 are going to come in a built-up condition, and the next 40 are going to be built in India. So by 2028, we will find this whole thing fructifying.
Right. There's a lot that's being talked about these days about Air Force to aerospace. So what's the transition that you really witness, and why is there emphasis on aerospace coming in so much?
Yeah, so there is already a proposal to rename the Air Force from what we hear in the media to Indian Air and Space Force. Now, if you look at the air and space, it's a contiguous medium, and anything that is including satellites and ballistic missiles and all, they travel through the medium of air into space. Now, when I want to defend the space, it is but natural that the Air Force looks at this option of because the responsibility of protecting the airspace of the country is that of the Air Force. it is but natural that the Air Force progresses into an air and space force, because we are trained to monitor huge volumes of airspace, and it is just that we require additional resources, as well integration of the civilian infrastructure, which is the space part, which ISRO through its other subsidiaries is handling. But different air forces have gone about it in different ways. French Air Force has become French Air and Space Force, while the United States has got a separate space force. It all depends upon the amount of money that you have. But ideally, because the air domain looks after this land domain as well as the maritime domain, so it is only natural that the air and space, today you cannot fight a battle without utilizing resources in space. So therefore the progression of the Air Force into an air and space force is natural, and it's a matter of time before it will happen.
Right, thank you, Air Marshal. Thanks a lot for having spared your time. I think that was a good exposure to the book. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Viewers, this book has got the content all about what he was talking, the Air Marshal, during our interview over here. And it's a must read for all those people who are professionals or those who simply take interest in issues concerned with defense. Thank you.